Okay, in AutoCAD we're going to go with a new drawing, and we're going to look at external referencing through that. New drawing, we're going to use a template, which is in this case a 3D, but it doesn't matter which template you use really. Open that. Just so happens we're going to be doing a 3D drawing, so we're going to stick with this. Okay, the first thing we need to do is insert an external reference. And an external reference really, initially AutoCAD only had one type of external reference you can bring in, and that was drawing files. Now it has lots, including images, PDFs, that sort of thing. All considered external references as a general term. So we're going to externally reference a drawing today. Alright, so, okay, how do we do that? Insert, or xref is the command you type in. Xref, as in the letter, not EX, but X. I'll type it up so you can see. Xref is the shortcut. That will bring up that dialog box, or it's a palette, really. Or you go to insert, you go to attach, for example, and you can attach a drawing, or you can attach anything else. Look at all this stuff. Alright, there's a new one for you. Autodesk point cloud, you can attach that as well. Alright, that was always there, but in different areas. But this, if you click that one there, it will take you to this. Just make sure you've got DWG on the bottom, otherwise you won't see your drawing. Okay, now which one was it I would bring in? Just bring in your the slab that you finished, however you finished yours. And this is my one, and we're gonna okay that. Just open it. All right, this is an important dialog box that we need to have a look around in. Okay, so as basically what I'm doing now, I'm attaching an external reference. In fact, that button there said attach. All right, so I am attaching an external reference. As computing has it, and especially AutoCAD, loves using the same terminology for two different things. Like, well, last week we had some other terminology that was dual, like the viewports in model space are different to the viewports in paper space. So here we have a question, okay, you want to attach it as an attachment or an overlay. You know, so that's one thing we've got to get over. All right, so, and then there's other things over here like full path, no path, relative path, and all that sort of things. All right, so those of you that did do the extended CAD last semester, it didn't really address those issues within the book. We did try and discuss them, I think. But, all right, so an attachment means it'll just, it'll bring it into here, and then if you do some modification, for example, add some walls, put it that way, and then you decide to save this drawing and call it floor plan or something like that, and then you decide to give this floor plan to the electrical guy or girl, whoever to do the lighting. So you give it to them, you give them the file. In fact, you zip it up, you give it like and do the transmit thing, do the right thing, give it all to them, and so they will pick up the drawing file, and what it will do, they'll open that plan up, and then they will want to draw the electrical on top of that. What they will get when they open up that plan, if all the paths are right, and we'll talk about that later, if you can find the file, it will actually bring the slab in as well, because we're going to bring in the slab now. So the slab was attached to the floor plan, which means it will remain attached forever. Every time the floor plan gets inserted as an XREF somewhere else, it will drag the slab in with it. All right. If, however, we said, no, this is not going to be an attachment, it will still attach it, but it's not going to be an attachment as such. It will be an overlay. It means I'm only just bringing it in for this drawing, for the use of this drawing only, because I want to print my floor plan along with my footing plan. Therefore, I need to have it in here, and I need to have it as a reference so I can work out where the perimeter is, so I can draw my walls, all right? So I need it. So I'm only bringing this an overlay, and it's only good enough for this plan. If this plan, called floor plan, gets externally referenced into my electrical plan, then all it will bring in is just the floor plan only, not the slab. So that's the overlay. Most of the time, overlay is what industry uses. All right? The default is attachment, but overlay is what industry uses. All right? Okay, so that's now done. We can move on to the next bit, which is full path. Okay, again, industry does not use full path. The default, again, is not the one that is used. All right? Industry uses relative path at best. Actually, probably at worst. At best, they use no path. So no path is probably the preferred thing there. All right? In a smaller firm, smaller business, you probably use no path because, well, basically because no path will mean that, okay, I bring in the slab. As long as the slab is in the same folder as any other plan I create, like as the same folder as my floor plan, for example, that I'm about to create, it'll find it. It means it'll find it easier. If you do a full path, it will always want to look for it, in my case, on the S drive / whatever. If you haven't got an S drive on your computer, you're basically stuffed. You need to do something. You need to, well, it's not a problem. You just need to point it. It'll come up with an error, and you say, well, where is it? Where'd you put it? It won't come up automatically, in other words. So you're going to have to point to it and go and find it afterwards. So it won't work just by opening the drawing and there it is as my slab. It will say, sorry, I can't find it. It will actually write a bit of text across the graphic screen, and it will say the name of the path that it's looking for in the file. So really, full path is not one we use all the time. Relative path is not as harsh. It's less forgiving, or more forgiving. So it's sort of a compromise between no path and full path. Companies use that a lot because they like to have some sort of order and organization about how they do things. So they will typically have, their current project, which is they do all their working. So if you're an electrical engineer, that's where you save all your drawings. But underneath that, you have the drawing you got from the architect. So it might be architect's folder, and another drawing from the, some other civil engineer or something like that. And so all the consultants will go underneath that usually. So relative path then only requires that you are able to replicate the tree structure of the folder on any drive. Right? But they do need to be on, together, obviously go together. It can't be, one of it on different drives. And so there has to be, the actual drawing and the folder have to be on the same drive. Okay, so that's much easier. For our purposes, we're going to use no path anyway. The fact is, we don't have this folder structure anyway. Everything's in the same folder, so it's not a big deal. And it's only a small little project. So I prefer to use no path in this instance, but just know that relative path is also a better option. It won't matter which one you use anyhow. Okay, so let's go with no path. Overlay. All right, insertion point, where are we going to put it? Okay, well, decisions again. Generally, you use 0, 0. Because then if everybody uses the same origin, then the project will end up falling on top of itself every time and will line up perfectly. It's sort of a number that usually is used. Otherwise, what number do you pick for the project? So sometimes I might pick something else, but as long as and it's all about collaboration, right? Collaboration means you have to talk to each other as well. So it doesn't mean It's all done online. You have to email. You have to still do a lot of that. Well, email is online. So sometimes you've got to talk to people. You've got to have meetings. All right. So whether face to face or through some video link or whatever. So you do communicate about these project parameters up front. Okay, so that's that one there. Okay, we don't normally want to rotate it or anything like that. We don't want to. So that's the insertion point there. That stays at 0, 0. The angle, we don't want to change it, and it is in millimeters, and we'll leave it at that. We're not going to scale it or anything like that. So okay, we sorted all this out. We just have to go okay, and it should just fall in place. The theory. There it is. It fell in place. Okay, so just have to zoom out to find it. And there's my little drawing here, and it looks the same as me opening the original, really, pretty much. All right, so it's all good. Okay, so now there it is. Now I can actually draw some walls on top of this and that sort of stuff. Okay, so let me type in XREF to bring this thing up. Let's have a look what we've done. Okay, so what we can see here is that this drawing is called Drawing 2. And then we've got my slab that I just brought in, which is that. Just extend it out. Okay, so what do we have in here? Well, if I wanted to change the path, or if the path wasn't coming up, all I have to do is highlight this and have a look in here. What have we got? It says the type is an overlay. We can now change that. We can make it attached afterwards, or attachment. Down here, if it comes down here, it tells me where it's getting it from. See that? But it's the only path is saved is nothing really. There's no path. It's just looking for a drawing. So I said no path. Otherwise, the bottom one would have been as long as the top one, and it would have been hardwired in. And I can't really change it. Well, I can change it. I could change it here. I could go and say, well, look, it's not where you think it is. Go here and search for it somewhere else that you might have put that file. So it's not the end of the world if it can't be found. All right. So it's that then. It's just time consuming. Sometimes you might have 20 XREFs in one drawing. You don't want to be doing that to 20 of them. And small scale is okay. Sounds, it's a big deal, but it does matter what you pick from that dialog box. All right. So that's what that looks like. All right. So basically that's how we can externally reference something in. I might leave it there, and then we can look at the other bits in a minute, which are basically drawing the walls in there.